Okay. Well, there's something a little strange up here in front today. I mean, not every Sunday do you go to church and you find got to get my costume on, get a golf club, bag of golf clubs and a golf hat and a golf ball. But we got one today because I came across a message a while back. I don't know if you sent this one to me, Ray, or if I found it somewhere else, but about how to win the game of golf. And so we've got a golf ball. You know, I played miniature golf at the Disney World. They have a championship miniature golf course, and it's a little different than your typical miniature golf course. I really like playing there. And I've got a Disney World golf ball. I tried playing golf at a Shalimar at a preacher's tournament a couple of times. And fortunately, we've always had a couple of guys on our team that were good golfers. My golf might make it to the back of the room here, my swing. On the the fifth hole, it was over water to get to the green. It's the only way you could get there. And I changed my driver from to a smaller wood. I don't remember, number 1 to a number 4 or something like that. And all my other shots have been just... This one, I actually hit the ball about that far from the hole on my tee shot. And I was almost a golfer right then and there. But, and fortunately, it was a scramble, so whoever hit the best ball, we played off that ball. Otherwise, we'd still be out there playing if it would depend on me. But let's talk about golf for a minute. If your head is in the wrong place, you can expect everything else to follow. And that's going to relate to what we do as a church, too. That's why I'm talking about golf today. In Augusta, Georgia, the wind had finally eased the Augusta National Golf Club, and Zach Johnson, son of a chiropractor from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, stood at behind the 18th green, not exactly sure what to do. Now, Tiger Woods, the last golfer with a chance to catch him, was still playing in the 71st Masters. And Johnson says, I was an emotional wreck. Woods stalled with 3 closing pars, giving Johnson a Masters title after one of the most difficult weeks in the history of the tournament. Johnson, age 31, fired a closing 3 under par 69 on Sunday to defeat Woods 72 and Rory Sabatini 69 and Retief Gosens 69. By 2 strokes for his first major championship and second PGA Tour victory. Now, Zach Johnson's head was in the right place almost the entire day, Sunday, April 8th, 2007. Should have been in church. His head would have been in an even better place, but we'll save that for later. For a brief period, his mind wasn't in the right place, and he paid the consequence on the hole 17 with his only bogey. Now, you guys that don't know anything about golf just think boogie is some sort of a fancy beat to music. But it has a meaning in golf that those golfers will understand quite well. Back in focus on the 18th hole, he stayed in the process the rest of the day, winning the Masters and one of the most coveted prizes in the golf universe, the green jacket. It was a delirious moment for me, Zach's coach and golf psychologist said. Over the last 19 years, I've seen this pattern repeated countless times. Isn't it amazing how little white dimpled ball will go wherever a skull-encased 2-hemisphere gray matter ball tells it to go? Now, this information comes from Dr. Morris Pickens. He is a psychologist to many golfers. And there's some things that I saw when I was reading through this, I said that applies to us as a church. You see, when you're thinking your best, your focus is one shot at a time. There's no looking back or projecting forward. The thoughts of your score or what you might shoot that do not exist. The implications of winning a tournament become as irrelevant as the snowshoes in South Georgia. Mistakes from earlier in the round are completely forgotten. Your focus is entirely on the shot before you and nothing else. When not playing your shot, your mind is consumed with the simple joys around you, the smell of grass, the beauty of the clouds, the conversation with your playing partners. You are in control of your mind, and your focus is clear and concise. The question is, how do you keep your mind focused every time you play? So, your best chance of achieving this focus is to have a thinking process that occupies your mind. If the process helps to sell cars, market soda, treat illness, build a church, start a ministry, or do about anything else you do, it will also have your day, help you value your day on the golf course. Now, I don't think any of you are planning on picking up golf real soon. You may. We do have golf lessons over at Highland Fairways for people that don't know how to play and are interested in the game. So we could learn how. The key is to make your thinking process effective and a habit of mind. Make it as much a part of your game as your swing off the tee or a blast out of the bunker. Now, I've sought some help to apply this to the Walking with Jesus Bible study that I've written. And I've been working on this Bible study for 22 and a half years now, and it's still virtually unknown. If we would put this to a golf game, I am losing. It's not working. But I have applied some of these things that we're going to be talking about here in a minute, and it has helped me keep on, even though it doesn't seem to be worth keeping on. And we can look at Northside Church and we can go, well, where is everybody? Well, Rick's out driving truck because his work company is behind in their work and they're trying to get caught up. Richard and Cassandra are off to Jamaica. They've got a week of Bible college down there to train up some preacher boys in Jamaica. So they'll be good ministers, strong ministers in their church. Morgan's taking a trip with his wife up to see the kids, and I think they've got a graduation or a couple things, and various other people that are normally here are off doing other things, and it just kind of happens to turn out. And so sometimes we kind of like, well, why are we here? I mean, we might as well just give up and go home. But we're not going to do that. We're going to see how this can apply to us in our lives. We can all apply this work to the future of Northside Christian Church as well. So, all great players utilize a consistent 4 R's thinking process. And we got a couple of golfers in here. You guys will tell me afterwards, you're right, no, you're wrong. Well, hey, maybe that'll improve my golf game. When consistently applied, the 4 R's produce a 5th R, which is results. Now, Dr. Morris's Pickens students have won 23 PGA tours since 2005. 3 have won majors. So for our life and for our church, whatever we are striving to do, it will mean the sweetness of satisfaction of accomplishing a level that you have only dreamed of. So, what are the 4 R's? You'll notice many of these pictures are from the Augusta golf course. I just thought that would be appropriate since that's kind of where this story originated. I thought that was a beautiful picture. Boy, I would not mind a backyard that looked like that.
Number 13.
That's the 13th hole you played there?
No.
Oh, but you watched them play there.
Yeah.
Isn't that a pretty picture?
Beautiful.
Oh, all right. Well, first R, refocus. This is your decision making. It involves shot selection. It involves club selection. It involves the lie, where the ball is, and as you're preparing to make that shot, the wind direction, what are obstacles. I've seen golfers actually hit a ball, there's a tree between them and the fairway, and they couldn't quite get over the tree, but they could get the ball to spin such a way they could go around the tree and still light that ball on the green. It's amazing to me. I saw one time where a golfer had a golf ball, it was kind of in the sand trap, so close to the hole, there's just no way he's going to chip out towards the hole. So he chipped it the other way and put so much backspin on the ball, it went up over his head and actually dropped in the hole. Now, I don't know how many times they had to get that. He had to do that shot to get it to drop in the hole. Maybe it was the first time, maybe it was 100 times later, but it showed him doing it. Amazing to me. Who was it? Phil Nicholson? Yeah, okay. Amazing shot. So this is when you should be doing the vast majority of your thinking on the course, and it occurs when the ball before you before you walk up to the shop. It would be like sermon preparation. It would be like if we're getting ready to do a project here for the church, an outreach project like Vacation Bible School, or sending some kids to church camp, or maybe we're working with an organization. Now see, the name of the organization escapes me, but the purpose is, many of you are familiar with the Jesus video. It's a video on the life of Christ based entirely on the Gospel of Luke. It's been out for close to 50 years now, and it was in the theaters for a while. It started out by Campus Crusade for Christ, and then Randolph Publishing took it over, and it has been translated into, I think, some 1,400 different languages, and it's been sent to all parts of the earth. It's a great evangelistic tool because it takes a person through the life of Christ and then offers them an opportunity to make a decision for Christ at the end. Somebody with a big bank account has written a check big enough for them to distribute this video on a DVD to every home in the United States of America. And they're already working on it. They're setting it up for Tampa, and we're getting into part of that to get some of it over here in Lakeland. They're doing it in Orlando. They've been doing it in Los Angeles, New York City, Albuquerque, and other major cities in America to get the gospel of Christ to people's front doors as a door hanger. If you can put it in their hand, that's great. If not, hang it on their door. Hopefully they will put this in their DVD player and watch this story about Jesus. Their hearts will say, I want that. I want Jesus in my life. And we will help get this nation back on track for Christ. There's a lot of preparation that goes into a move like that. And so that is where our refocus is. We've tried this, it's given some results, and it's passed. Now we're trying this, and we're hoping that it will give us some greater results and help us advance our cause in the community. That's the refocus. Before you actually begin to do the work, it is, what am I here to do moment. What are we here for as a church? What is our purpose? Are we going to be just a nice cozy little social club with an emphasis on little? Or are we going to be an outreach center that goes out and reaches people and shares with them the love of Christ? 4 nursing homes right now, and Vacation Bible School coming up with the help of a church that has an afternoon service here. And outreach into the neighborhood. What ways can we do to find people that don't know Jesus, introduce them to Jesus, and help them get into the game? That's the refocus. It kind of involves a business plan. 22, almost 23 years ago, I shared with a coworker a dream that I had that developed over time, recognizing my talents and my gifts and my skills. And I don't mean that arrogantly, I just mean that just realizing who I am in God, that I have a little more knowledge about Jesus Christ than the average person. And I taught through the life of Christ in previous ministries, and each time it took me 3 years to do it. And I shared this dream with a friend of mine, a co-worker, when I was doing computer software training, about writing a Bible study on every event in the life and teachings of Jesus that's found in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that takes 3 years to complete. And he came back the next day and said, Glenn, I believe in your dream and I want to help you accomplish it. And he got me started writing a business plan. Richard and Cassandra, when they were plotting to start Northside Christian Church, had meetings over at their house. And they called several people that they thought would be instrumental in helping start this church. And they laid out a plan, a groundwork. How are we going to do this? What are we going to accomplish? Now, he had a bigger dream than what he's realized so far, and we're still working on it. But it starts with a business plan. How do we set up to reach more people and teach them about Christ? How do we use the talent that we have? What is our audience, and how do we communicate clearly with them? Well, you can look at one another and you can see this as our current audience. And you can look at the nursing homes that we reach out to and say, well, that's a part of our audience as well. How do we reach out and minister to them? So that's the refocus. And then that can apply from your tee-off shot as you're striking down the fairway and gets really kind of a little critical when you get on the putting green. You got to make it just that last little bit, however far, and drop it in that little hole. How do we as a church drop it in that little hole and go on to the next round? The next R is routine. The pre-shot is the routine is your golf preparation that includes how you walk in, get set up, and take a few practice swings if desired. This happens only after the decision has been finalized, and it occurs walking into and beside the ball, but before you actually swing. So when we're in our business plan, we're in our startup role model for the church, we say, well, now how are we going to go about this? How am I going to go about this Walking with Jesus Bible study series? Somewhere in the process, I've got to figure out how I'm going to write and format these lessons. And I'm kind of playing this, trying to figure out kind of as I go. I learned some things. Sylvia was involved in Bible Study Fellowship, and I saw how they did some things. They had a handout, they had some notes to read and some discussion questions on it. And I said, oh, I like that. And I'd been used the harmony of the Gospels when I taught through the life of Christ previously. I wanted that to be a part of it. And somewhere in the process, I got to thinking it'd be nice to have a full-color photograph of where that lesson took place that would apply to that lesson. So how do I go about that? And these plans started evolving in my head. And after it came a point where you got to start writing. So I'm preparing this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to play this game of Walking with Jesus. And I've got to get a golf bag. I've got to get some golf balls. I've got to go to practice green, maybe learn how to practice a swing so I hit the ball square, not the top of the ball or the grass in front of the ball, and not slice the ball over that way or hook it over this way and all that sort of thing. So it took a little practice there. As a church, they finally said, okay, we're going to start a church. Where are we going to meet? Well, we got to figure out how we can get logistics. We got the conference room in the hotel over here. We met there for about a year. And then we were able to acquire this property, and then we had to do a lot of work here, tear down that wall, level this garage floor. This was a garage door when we first bought this building. Does it look like a garage door now? Nice makeover, huh? And we leveled the floor all the way across there to the back and had to do a lot of other things around here to get this ready so we could address the ball and play the game. And now we are a church, and we have a place to meet. And we have a place where we can be an influence on their neighborhood. The property here was kind of run down and unkept looking. Now it's landscaped, it's beautiful. The neighbors that thought they didn't want us in here are kind of glad we're in here now. Because we've raised the property values, because this is now an attractive piece of property. You come by here on the street, you see the landscape bushes out in front and the sign and all. Looks a whole lot nicer than what it used to be. That is our routine. Setting up for the next activity, Bible study, worship, or when we have a church potluck or things like that. We're in that process with our vacation Bible school right now. Getting our routine in order. What are we going to do? How are we going to play this game to benefit the people in this neighborhood? The third R is to react. This is your golf execution. Making the actual swing or the stroke. Having Sunday service on Sunday morning. This is the swing for all this other stuff that we've been doing. This happens immediately after the routine and is done and can best be described as a player's trusting and going. You know, we could talk and pray and pray and talk and pray some more. But there comes a point when it's time to get to work. Pray and then get to work to make it happen. I did that. I did some talking and I did some praying. I tell you what, over the last 22 and a half years, God and I have had quite a few conversations. And this has been applicable to me. I'm going to get to that one in just a minute. But you know, we prayed about starting a church. Richard and Cassandra's prayed about starting a church. They didn't just jump in and say, we're going to start a church. Okay, Sharon, come be a part of us. And you other folks come and be a part of us. They put a lot of prayer and thought into it, preparing. How are we going to do this? And what are our expectations and our goals? And some of those things we are still working on. Well, after you react, you've swung, you've knocked the ball, the shot was good, the shot was not so good. Hopefully the shot was good, because if it's not so good, you're going to want to give up. But this is your relaxation on the court. This speaks about how you spend time between shots. When you release your focus on golf, and during this time, you can think about the architecture, the wildlife, the clouds, the hobbies, anything, just not golf. There's times when it's time to not think about, or if I may use the word, worry about church. Time to kind of take a break, time to refresh when we're doing what we're doing. Surprisingly, most of your time on a golf course is spent on this fourth R, or at least it should be. I mean, I can't do anything about that shot till I get there. Back in, I started in Wasco, California when I was preaching there. But even in Carson, I was more aware of it when I was preaching there. Because in Carson, in the church office, on the one wall here, actually, see, my desk was here, on this wall right here, I had 3 long 1x12 boards. On the top one, I had some model cars that I kind of had an interest in. On the next one, I had some model airplanes. And then on the bottom one, I had an HO train layout. Now, 12 inches wide, you can't do much more than just kind of have a long, but I had a little village there, and I had some houses and buildings around, and I had the tracks going this way, and I had 4 locomotives and some passenger cars and some freight cars, and I would set the trains up on that little layout, and they would sit there. Now, I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm working on a sermon, and for some reason, my mind would say, break time. And I'd get to looking up there, and I would go around my desk and around that shelf, and I would move these cars around a little bit, and move things around a little bit. And I'd play with that, and I'd say, oh, I need to get back to work. And I would go back and get back onto refocusing for the next Sunday service. Somehow, I always got my sermons done on time. It worked. But that's kind of the relax. Sometimes we're working on sermonizing or preparing a Sunday school lesson. Sometimes I need to get with the great-granddaughters to go down to the swimming pool and go swimming. Sometimes Sylvia and I need to just go for a walk. We need to take a break from some of this stuff and just relax. And sometimes, you need to take a nap. Maybe, and just let that stuff go. And relax. You wake up from the nap, or you get done from your little walk, or you get done swimming with the great-granddaughters, and you're not so hot anymore, and you're ready to go back now and tackle what it is you got to get tackled for the next shot, the next Sunday service, the next Walking with Jesus lesson, or whatever it is you're working on. This must be a consistent part of your life, not some add-on when you feel it's needed. It's always needed. In any and all endeavors, God is ultimately in charge, and He has gifted you to do what you do. Don't try to be what you aren't. Don't try to do what anyone else is better gifted to do. Just put your mind the task at hand, and let God show you His results. Now, I've got to stop right here just a minute, because I think I did. I went right past a scripture. We haven't used any scripture in here. Somebody's going to call this not a sermon if we don't get the Bible involved in it. And I didn't mean to do that. I just got so excited to talk about what I'm so excited. Back there on the business plan, I'm going to go to Luke chapter 14. Now, we'll get caught up here, but I want to get the scripture involved on this just a little bit, because Jesus did have some things to say about this. Luke chapter 14, verses 28 to 30, Jesus is speaking, and He says about the cost of being a disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build, but he wasn't able to finish. And that's what a business plan is for. That's what Richard and Cassandra did in planning out Northside Christian Church. They figured out what it's going to cost to build this tower. When they bought this property, they got it at this price, And they figured, well, it's going to cost about this much to get it fixed up so we can use it as a church. It ended up costing this much to get it fixed up using it as a church. And we've gotten that debt pretty well retired and paid off. But now we've had some repairs on it, so there's been a little bit of that to take care of. But that happens with any property. But here's the plus side of this. We paid this much to buy it. We've paid this much to fix it up. But according to the insurance company and whoever else, it's worth this much from here on up. So we still have, we're not going to sell it. Goodness, we need it just to have a place to worship. But if that's of any consequence, we still have value in our property. But we planned. We've planned and we're trying to work the plan. Now, we talked about put your hand to the task at hand and let God show you His results. You see, the 4 R's produce a 5th R, and that is results. The fact that golf happens to be an excellent metaphor for life shouldn't surprise us. If the sport had been around in the 1st century, no doubt the Apostle Paul would have used it in his New Testament letters. Instead, he used the sport that did not occupy. He used the sport that did occupy the minds of sports fans of 2,000 years ago in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 to 26. In 1 Corinthians 9, 24 to 26, Paul said, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets a prize? Run in such a way so as to get the prize." And that's how we want to play the game here at Northside Church. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. You've gone through years of Bible study, years of serving in churches, years of praying and building your relationship with God. Now, we do not get a crown that will not last, but in Christ we get a crown that will last forever. So although it's nice to win a trophy, I have a shooting trophy I got years ago in a little pistol match in California. Not because I'm a great shot, but because my handgun fit a certain size box, and I was the only one whose handgun fit a certain size box, so no matter how lousy I shot in that category, I qualified and I got a shooting trophy. Now, I'm not going to tell the bad guy that. I'm going to tell him I got a shooting trophy. You want to find out if you're a better shot than I am? I hope I never have to find that out. We don't want to. But hopefully some of you got a trophy like this, maybe from golf, maybe from some other sport you played in. Sylvia played tennis. She got a couple of trophies from her years in tennis. We've been involved in various activities. You've gotten maybe not a trophy, maybe a plaque on the wall, maybe a ribbon. Oh, what a wonderful thing it was to get a blue ribbon because you won the race in grade school. Or maybe completed in track. It's always fun to win. And we want to play the game as though we want to win. Northside Christian Church right now is very small. And by the world standards, we'd say we're a failure. But we haven't quit yet. We're not done yet. We're playing to win. And we are going to win as long as we don't quit. Walking with Jesus ministry. Glenn, you just don't have the skills to get this project. You don't have the right connections. Oh, I could use some help with the right connections to get this out. But you know what I keep reminding myself? When I'm praying, especially, I remind myself what Ken Erickson told me 22 years ago when I told him about this vision, about a ministry of the life of Christ that took 3 years to complete. He said, "Glenn, that's a God-sized ministry." And so I will confess to trying to tell God again and again and again what to do and how to do it and why I should do it now instead of waiting. God has got it all under control. And Brother Richard reminds me the most famous painters didn't become famous till after they died. I think that's a premonition, so I got to choke and croak before Walking with Jesus is going to be a Bible study that gets out to all the churches as though it were a piece of art. I'm hoping that it won't be that long because I see a need for it now. But the bottom line is, you don't quit. And if we don't quit, we'll get the results. And if we get the results in terms of a Bible study ministry or in terms of a church, God will be glorified. and we will gain the prize. It may not be a trophy sitting on my shelf. It may be just some books sitting on your shelf. And a memory whenever you see the name Glen Copple, that you will say, the people will say, he showed us Jesus. It may be Northside Christian Church. Oh yes, they never did get very big, but look at all the things they did. 98 billboards around Polk County proclaiming Christ to anybody that would drive down those streets and see those billboards. Television ads encouraging people to get help if they're pregnant out of wedlock. Don't abort that baby. Here's pregnancy counseling centers where you can get help to save that child and bring another beautiful life into the world. Or if you've got a drug problem, here's places where you can get help to get past that drug problem. And we know people that are struggling with drug issues in their lives or in their past, or alcohol issues. And they would be looking, they might just happen to catch that ad on television and say, I got to call that number. I've got to have help. I've got to have God's help to get over this monkey on my back. If we don't quit, we will gain the prize. Paul even referenced boxing in chapter 9, verse 26. He says, therefore I do not run like someone aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer just beating the air. Oh, I can swing good. I can even do an undercut. There's nobody there to hit. And so, what is it accomplishing? Fortunately, I don't have to get in a fight. I don't like to get into fights. But if we ever do get into a fight, we do want to be prepared. We want to have spiritual strength. You know, our most powerful weapon is this right here. If you have a chance to use it, you can talk yourself out of a lot of situations. Sometimes you don't have a chance to use it, and you have to use other methods to protect yourself. But we don't get into a sport just to relax and have fun. We get into it to get stronger. We get into it to get better at it. We get into it to win. Everything you've done in your life, you've wanted to be good at something. And you don't get into it to be mediocre at it. You get in to get better and better so you can win. Paul gave the church in Philippi the best advice for golf and for life after explaining his goal and experiencing the power of the presence of Jesus Christ in a fresh and life-transforming way in Philippians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14. Paul says, not that I've already obtained all of this, or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ took hold of me. Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But the one thing I do, and this goes to everything we've talked about this morning, forgetting what lies behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. I keep on keeping on. That's one of the elements of the irreplaceable keys of golf. Press on. The key to golf is playing one shot at a time. The key to life is living right here, right now. Our key right now is absorbing out of this service what we can absorb to strengthen us and prepare us for a week of whatever this week is going to be, whatever of. And our goal is to show God by how we live and our presence here, how much we love Him and we appreciate what He's done for us. So what's the alternative? You can't play Friday. It's Sunday. You can't play Friday's round on Thursday. And you can't tee off on the 18th hole when you're in a bunker on the 16th hole. But you can grasp the incomparable privilege of stepping behind the ball for this one solitary shot and using every bit of talent God gave you, maximize the investment of all who have believed in you and helped you and taught you and encouraged you along the way. This you can do. I can work at trying to tell the people that I can talk to through Facebook and other social media and through other resources that I'm gaining about a Bible study that I believe will change their lives and help them become more like Jesus. We as a church can reach out, and we've got our little invite cards, and we've talked to somebody, and where do you go to church? Oh, I'm not really going to church anymore right now. Well, come over to our church. Here's a little card. We're about Jesus, and here's the times of services on the back and our phone number, and come and join us. I'd be glad to have you be my guest next Sunday at church or next Wednesday night for Bible study. We can do things like that. There are things that we can do. Jim Elliot said it this way: wherever you are, be all there. Live to the hilt of every situation, and you believe to be there to be the will of God. If this is the will of God. Now, Jim Elliot's life got really, really cut short when he and Nate Saint and a couple of other missionaries were murdered by the Aka Indians many years ago. His life was really cut short. His wife later went back and to those same people and was able to teach them and reach them for Christ, change them from becoming a tribe of feudal warriors who went around looking for ways to kill each other, to people who were learning the love of Christ, to learning the forgiving grace of God, and learning to live with one another as we are living with one another today. Well, supposed to be living with one another today. Loving people, not hurting people. We can't change the past. And the future doesn't even exist yet. What does exist is today, this hour, this moment. How you live in the right now. The focus, the energy, the discipline, the perspective, and the wisdom to bring you to this day, this solitary place, this square on the calendar, will determine your future, your legacy, and your destiny. Your past is over. Yeah, I made some mistakes yesterday. I made some mistakes all through my life. But that's behind me now, and that does not have to determine my future. Today, I could go up to this new ball in life, and I can refocus, and I can get ready for my next shot. It's a beautiful way to do golf. Just about everything else you have ever valued. It might be a good way to do church also. Pray about it and ask God how you are to do today. We're going to have a decision time today, and I want to